Thank you for showing up today. The weather this week's been a little blustery. This week we have Chef Vern Wolfram and his associates. I'll let him introduce them. They're from the UAA Culinary.
Associates? She's my boss.
Okay. So, a couple items. If you haven't filled out one of these little white raffle tickets, please do so. As you can see, they brought a bunch of chocolates and goodies. They also have gift certificates we're giving away, so we have lots of raffles today. So please put your name in, because you have a pretty good chance of winning. Also, remember, you have to be present to win. If you haven't been here before, also please put your email on the raffle ticket. That way we can give you updates for future events.
With everything we want to do today, we better get going here. But we're going to try to introduce a few things about Thanksgiving. Let's get rid of this cloth. What's this doing here? They were going to cover me up later.
After you finish eating all.
That's right.
Take a snooze.
Okay. We wanted to talk about Thanksgiving. Chef Naomi is going to show you some hints on working on some turkey. And so we're going to serve you a turkey dinner today also, along with stuffing, and then I'm doing dessert. We're doing a pumpkin tiramisu over here. And I'm on the tiramisu. I'm gonna make a sponge cake right here, a gingerbread sponge, and then we're gonna make a pumpkin mousse that goes on top, and I'll show you how to decorate it and everything. And then we have lots of samples to try and everything. And also, like you said on the door prizes, we have, I think there are 17 boxes of chocolate truffles there. And I was kind of expecting one of our assistants to be here today, but she called from Palmer and said the roads were atrocious and she couldn't make it in this morning. So, but she knew what the truffles were in there. She knew what color, because they're all wrapped in foil. Each one is wrapped in foil, and so she knew what each one was, and I don't. So
it looks like Christmas early. You get a
right.
little super secret surprise.
You never know what you're going to get.
You just have to eat them all, right?
Yes.
Okay. So sometimes when we cook turkey dinner, who's had turkey breast that's dry? Right? So you run into a quandary. How do you prepare your dark meat, which really needs to be cooked to 185 so that your protein coagulates, so that you don't have a bunch of blood running out of it and so forth? And how do you get your breast meat to 160 so it carries over to 165 where it's still nice and moist and delicious and sexy and your guests don't leave wishing they'd gone to McDonald's, right? I bet that never happens. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to prepare your bird a little bit differently. Break it down, take it off of the carcass itself, and then actually utilize the carcass to not make gravy, but to make a beautiful sauce, okay? There's a huge difference between gravy and sauce. Sauce is sexy, gravy's not. Just kidding, sauce can be, gravy can be sexy too. And then what I've done is you can see that the presentation on the bird is still very nice. You can get, cut it up, it's still pretty. Everybody gets a leg, or there's 4 legs that come out of it and so forth. So we've got some turkey in the oven. I made some stuffing, and I'm going to show you how to do this. If you want to practice on a chicken first, sometimes it's a little bit easier. Birds, like I've got a 22-pound bird coming at my house this year, so it's going to be a little bit more challenging, but you can do it, okay? So this is a turkey. You guys have never seen one. This is a turkey. Usually in the turkey, in the
Is that a butterball, Chef?
This is a butterball. It's a premium all natural. I got it from C&J Meats. It's no antibiotics, no hormones. It's a young turkey. The younger you are, the more tender you are. The older you are, the tougher you are. So that saying I'm a tough old bird, that happens. So in the neck, you have your giblets and liver and that sort of thing, and you can use that. You can feed it to your kitties if you don't like it, or you can saute it up, cut it up very small, and put it in with your stuffing, whatever you choose. You can also put it into your stock if you want to, but sometimes that liver can be a little bit bitter, so that may not be something you want to do. So take this out. If you're going to roast your bird whole, you want to make sure that the giblets are out of there. I've done that before. I'm like, they don't have it. It's not inside. And I know where it is. And then I go to cut it up.
There
and,
it is.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
That's no good. So your neck is on the inside. So take that out. And if you're going to roast your bird whole, I recommend that you tuck the wings behind. Okay, like so. And what this does, and then it comes where it's already, or it might have a little metal unit on there. I think we've all seen that metal unit that holds onto those, or you just tuck it into the tail there, okay? You're gonna stuff your bird. You wanna make sure your stuffing's the same temperature as your bird, not hot when you put it in, and stuff it loosely so that it cooks appropriately. You don't kill anybody, right? They won't come back if you kill them, which may be a good idea, right? So the way the anatomy of a bird is you have, this is the breast meat, this is the sternum here, okay? So that little breastplate. This is the cavity, so this is basically the front of the bird. You have legs, and then you have thighs that wrap around to the back, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start and we're gonna remove the breast meat from the bird itself. So take a knife, make sure it's sharp, and you wanna gently score the skin open, okay? Score it open and expose that cartilage, okay? Then you wanna take your knife and carefully angling towards the cartilage, make an incision, and you're going to, angling towards the cartilage so you take all the meat off. You just scrape away that meat and pull with your fingers gently, and you scrape the breast meat off the bone, okay? And you can start from the front and work to the back. You've got a wishbone in there, right? So in order to, just remember that, because when you come back here, you don't want to miss a bunch of meat. So we're gonna scrape this meat away, and again, erring on the side of caution towards the carcass of the turkey. Come down, find that wishbone. So I've opened it up. You can see I've opened it up, right? You can see where I'm going, what I'm doing here. And then I want to angle my knife in and around that bone. Just scrape away. I'll do it towards you. You want to scrape away around that round wishbone, okay? Cut through the back. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and where that joint is, so this is the wing, you've got a piece of connective tissue here that attaches it to the joint. You want to just cut through that, expose the bone, and you'll be able to see that where the breast meat meets the wing joint, and we're just going to go ahead and cut right between those layers and cut that right off, okay? Ta-da. All right. Wow. So you've got a really nice piece of breast meat. And the nice part about this too is it only takes, like, you know, when you cook these separately, it doesn't take you 4 hours to cook it, right? You don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and drink Bloody Marys all day. Sometimes I do. Or maybe you can. But it really only takes, you know, at low temperature, like 300 to 325, it only takes like 45 minutes or maybe an hour and a half at the very most, depending on how thick the bird is, you know. And really, you only want to cook these to 160. You've got that carryover cooking, and it'll reach 165, which kills the salmonella bacteria. You're not going to hurt anybody, okay? And you will have really nice moist breast meat, okay? So you want to make sure that where the breast meat articulated with the wing joint, you want to cut any of that off. That can go right into the stock, okay? So then we'll go ahead and do the opposite side as well. And same thing applies. Just tuck your knife in there. I think I just drooled on my turkey. I won't feed you this one. And if you end up with any cartilage or tough pieces of meat or tough pieces of sinew in there, just cut them out, okay? And again, if you can practice on chicken, then you know, your turkey won't be such a scary endeavor for you, okay? So tuck it around, get all that meat away, and that way you'll learn the anatomy of the bird too. You want to make sure that you keep as much skin as possible covering the breast meat, because that'll help to maintain the moisture in it. It'll help it keep it from drying out and so forth, okay? Cut through that piece of cartilage, that connective tissue, and then we'll take off that other wing.
Okay, so while she's continuing there, I'm going to start my sponge cake for the tiramisu. So basically, I'm going to take 9 eggs separated, and some of you saw me separating these. Usually what I'll do is I'll just crack the eggs into a bowl, I'll get them all in there, and then I reach in with my fingers and pull out, let the whites run between my fingers, and I'm holding the yolk. So I have a perfectly separated egg. Because if I don't do that, if I get broken yolks into my whites, then they're not going to whip up into a meringue. And for this particular sponge cake, I need a good meringue. I need a kind of a medium, what we call a medium peak meringue. Whereas when we test it, we pull it up with our fingers, and if it comes up to a peak and then just tips over, that's where I want to be with it. If I go like that and it just runs off, that means it hasn't been mixed long enough. If it goes straight up and it's not glossy anymore, then it loses that gloss appeal. it means it's overmixed. And if it's overmixed, it's going to be tough and chewy, and it's going to collapse also. So I brought my mixer along, my trusty little commercial-sized mixer here. I'm putting my egg whites in, and I'm going to put the whip on. This is a pretty quiet mixer, so I'm not too worried about being too noisy. That's a very quiet mixer. This is a Hobart commercial 5-quart machine, and these machines are about $2,300 a piece. So I figured for we got 4 of these this year. I figured for those 4 I could have bought 35 KitchenAids, but these should last 25 to 30 years. So what I'm going to do here is actually I'm going to shut it off and go up to high speed here. And I'm going to, as this starts to foam up a little, I don't know, can you see that in the mirror okay? Okay. I'm going to take my sugar. My sugar is approximately, it says 9 ounces, but it's about a cup of sugar. And I'm going to slowly add the sugar here. And you don't want to add the sugar too quickly because the meringue can only absorb so much of the sugar at one time. So what I'm doing is I'm just slowly adding it here. This whole process should take 3 or 4 minutes. If it takes longer than that, then that means that I have a broken yolk in there, and then it may never whip up. And if that happens, then we'll just eat dessert that I made up earlier. Okay, I have my sugar in there. I'm gonna let that mix for a little bit, and then I'm going to add. I have my yolks over here, and what I'm gonna do is I have my molasses here too, because I wanted to add a little bit of molasses because this is a gingerbread sponge. So I'm going to add my molasses to the egg yolks. The egg yolks will go in a few minutes here.
Dark or light?
Yes.
Dark or light?
Dark or light? It's a dark molasses, yes. Yes. Can you buy light molasses?
Right.
Wow. I buy molasses in a 60-pound tub. So it's kind of like, I say I need a molasses, and this is what they send me, so. Okay, so as that's mixing there, then I have my spices all measured out here. One thing about the flour, we're gonna use cake flour. Always want to sift your cake flour. I had Jay sift it. Jay is this young man over here. He's one of our students. He sifted this for me a few minutes ago. So I'm just gonna put my spices in there like that. And I'm just gonna kind of mix them up a little bit like this here. So, because you don't want lumpy sponge. Okay, it's starting to foam now, and it's still a little bit too soon. Nice thing about fresh eggs, if they're done properly, if they're broken apart, separated right, they whip up in about 5 to 6 minutes. I have this other product at school. It's called pasteurized egg whites, where it comes in frozen in a half-gallon container, and they add whipping agents to that stuff to where it helps them whip up. And so one of my students was making this the other day, and they used some of those egg whites, and it whipped in half the time. So she walked away from the mixer, and it went overboard before she was ready for it. So. Okay, so I'm going to test this now. It's still nice and glossy. Here, let me just take it off here so you can see that. See, it's still nice and glossy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it with my fingers here. I'm going to go up like this here. And see, it's falling over quite a bit, which means it could probably whip for another 30 seconds or so. So I'm going to put it back on just real quick here.
Your ounce measurements, are those volume or weight?
They are weight if you have a scale, but I can tell you what they are for like the sugar is on this cake is approximately 1 cup. The cake flour is approximately 2 cups, and that's 2 cups after you sift it also. And I'll get on the pumpkin mousse part, I have that broken down also, so I'll give you those figures in a few minutes there, after we get this in the oven. Okay, now I think that it's probably ready. And so it still has that glossiness to it, but if I'm going like this here, it just getting a little bit of a peak over like that. So that's how I know it's ready. Okay, so what I'm going to do, put it back on the mixer one more time here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my yolks to it now. And all I'm trying to do here with the yolks and the molasses, I'm trying to just break them up into the whites. Because we know that if I mix it too long with these yolks in there, it's going to break the whites down and they won't be fluffy anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to go like this and just go. That's all I'm going to do, right there. What I did was I just broke them up in there. And this is what I have. Now it looks like a mess, doesn't it? Yes. But it's okay, because now my flour is all going in at one time. And I'm going to just fold this. I'm not stirring it. I'm just folding it like this here, just going around the bowl. And just keep it moving around like this to get all the flour and spices mixed into those eggs.
What happens if you use regular all-purpose
You
flour?
could use regular all-purpose flour as long as you sift it. Just don't use bread flour though. Bread flour would make it too tough. But pastry flour would work. Cake flour works fine. It's why I like using cake flour, because cake flour is the lowest of the protein of the wheat flours, and because it's lower in protein, it's going to be a more tender cake. The higher the protein, the chewier it's going to get. So if you're eating pizza, you're probably eating flour that's from a high gluten, a high protein, usually about 14-15% protein, where cake flour is about 7%. So it's a lot lower. So this is my sponge cake. I got a little bit of flour there. I saw that when I picked it up there. Yeah, a little bit smaller. Okay, so that's the sponge cake right there. Okay, and I can put this in a pan, bake it, in about 20 minutes, comes out and be a perfect cake. But in traditional tiramisu, they use ladyfingers. If you have a standard tiramisu, which is Italian dessert with mascarpone cheese and coffee and delicious and all that deliciousness, it's made with ladyfingers. So what we're going to do is we're going to make ladyfingers here out of sponge cake. Okay, so let me do these real quick here, and then I'll have. Then also I did bring a pan along too that I could bake a cake in, but I was thinking that I may want to assemble the cake in this pan here later on, so we'll do that later on. Okay.
What size is that pan?
This pan here is a 10-inch pan, and what I've done is I've lined it with a plastic, what we call acetate strip. So this is, no, it just broke. There it is. I lined it with this here, so that way when the cake is all finished, it'll just slide, and it's on cardboard. I have a cardboard piece underneath here, so it'll just slide right out. I'm not going to bake in this pan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bag, wrap it over my hand like this, and I'm going to put the batter in here. You're messing me up here. You're moving. So I get really messy when I do things like this.
You just want to lick your fingers.
No, I don't want to lick my finger here. Just got this flour in here. I don't want to lick
I'll
it.
do it for you.
Oh, there you go. Well, you're a regular, so okay. So I have this like this. And for ladyfingers, they're just, there's a lot of you can't see this, but I'm just going to go ahead and pipe some out real quick here. And for this particular cake, it doesn't matter how big they are because they're all going to be layered underneath the mousse anyway. So
If you were trying to make that cake for somebody that does gluten-free, you use gluten-free flour, but would you have to do something else too to make it work?
Oh, no, I think that would probably work. I have never tried it with gluten-free flour, but I'm sure it would probably, the texture might be a little different, but other than that, it should be okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I've got more pans here. I'm gonna have Jay pipe me out some more here, but this is gonna go in the oven right now, thank you. And Chef Naomi can go on here.
Can you show us?
Yeah, will you
Oh,
show
okay.
those? Can you hold it up?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And before that happens, we should give away a couple of door prizes here.
Okay.
So he's gonna draw a name back there. We have a box of chocolates here.
Box of chocolates.
Box of chocolates. Oh, there's still some people filling out their names, so.
Chef Vern.
The nice thing about this batter is you could actually pipe it into rounds and make cake layers too, which would work really good too. Yeah, because it doesn't rise much, but it sets really nicely.
I have a question about the spices because, you know, I only use some of these spices like once a year.
Sure.
Should I just throw them out and get new ones?
You know, that's there are some spices that do lose their potency, that's for sure. I mean, nutmeg is probably, my problem is with nutmeg is I use very, very little nutmeg, and like you said, it's only seasonal, and I still have nutmeg hanging around for 2 or 3 years. And I always want to smell it, make sure it's still good and everything. But you know, there are some spices that definitely would be, if you had fresh spices, like nutmeg is a really good one. Just have a little nutmeg grater, just use a little bit like that. And the nutmegs will keep for indefinitely.
The nut itself, yeah. I
Yeah.
have one from 1980.
That's a few days ago. Okay, and we got a name drawn here.
First raffle is Sharon Schlick.
We should do one more too, since we have a lot of them here. Shake them up. We also have some of the door prizes we have are gift certificates to our restaurant at the school. But the thing is with that is there are no openings until next year when we open up again. So they're booked up.
Next winner is Judy Judd.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Next. Okay. So then, what I like to do is I like to take the legs and the thighs off of the carcass as well. And so we've gone ahead and removed the breast meat. They're covered with the skin is still covering the meat and so forth. And so I'm going to come in and I want to keep the leg and the thigh also covered with the meat, with the skin. So I'm just going to, and it's very easy to see where the pavement meets the road, right? Is that what they say? Okay. So you just follow right along the top of the thigh, and then you turn your bird over. In the back of all poultry, you have what's called the oyster, okay? And as long as you get that oyster out, you're getting the majority of the meat off the bird. So you can move the leg and see where the muscle group is. So if you have any questions, just move it around and see where it's moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an incision all the way to the back, okay? And then I place my thumb at the hip joint and pop it out of joint, all right? Seems a little brutal, but, it's cooking. So, and then what you do is you take the tip of your knife and you want to carefully just tuck that little oyster out of there. So you gently pull and push, and again, I'm following right along the carcass itself. And you're going to come to where the joint is, so you need to move through that, right through the cartilage. It'll very easily extract all the meat and then cut right down into the tail, okay? And then the leg and the thigh are done and gone, all right? So now you can roast these whole, you can bone them out. And what I like to do, because like as little kids, I always really liked the leg, and as a big kid, I still like the leg. So, and the leg, because it has so much connective tissue in it, because it's close to the foot of the animal, there's a lot of arteries and things like that that are really hard to get out of it. So if you bone this out, you have to make sure you get rid of that stuff. You can't feed it to people. It's not good, right? I mean, it's not going to kill them or anything, but ideally you want to make the eating experience pleasant and not a chore, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just cut through the cartilage, okay? So you cut right through the joint. If you're having a difficult time cutting through the joint, you're cutting a bone. So just move to the left or the right, okay? So we'll roast this. And then the thigh is a really big piece of meat. And this is super easy to bone out. There's not a tremendous amount of tendons and so forth in it. So it's very easy. You just come through and expose the bone and scrape away all the meat. It doesn't have to look pretty. And so you just scrape away this meat without cutting through the skin. Cut away, cut away, cut away. And make sure that you take out or tuck out any kind of cartilage out of this. This will go into stock. Nom, nom, nom. Okay. And then what you have is this nice piece of meat, right? So what you want to do is kind of open it up a little bit, and any place where you see fat arteries hide, so tuck your knife in underneath, just lift those out of there, put those in the trash, and then you can put this between plastic and pound it out. You can stuff it roll it, tie it, or if you just want to bone it out, what you can do is what I did here is you just roll it and roast it like this. So your leg and the thigh actually cook it at the same rate. Okay? So by the time they're both 185, then you're in good shape. All right. And now the reason that the meat cooks differently is because leg meat is it's load-bearing muscle tissue, and it's higher in fat, so it takes longer to cook. All right. And also there's bones in it. Okay. So then we'll take off the wings, and again you just come through, you pull off, and air towards the body, just pull off all this meat right into the back, and then you can cut through here, and you're going to cut through the joint, and so you have almost another same size, right? So for the small children, for the big children, right? And then if you want to, you can throw this whole thing into stock. There's not a ton of meat on these two pieces, but if you really like this part too, which some people do, and there's more on a turkey than there is on a chicken or a duck, just come through and again, cut through that piece of meat and then just roast that with the rest of your bird. Okay, so this will go into stock. Are you ready?
No, we're just checking the first pan of ladyfingers that went in. I just want to know if they're firm on top.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and again, remember you want to cut through that oyster. So let me show you. Actually, on this one, I'll show you the oyster because I broke it down very quickly.
Yeah, we could actually bake them a little longer because to make them a little crispier, so they can soak up more alcoholic beverages.
Not today.
Not today?
No, it's Saturday.
What, you wait for Sunday or what?
Waiting for those Bloody Marys. Yeah.
So when you pull the meat off, this is the oyster. Okay, and they call that like the chef's treat. You know, so if you roast the bird and so forth, that's what the chefs get to eat sometimes.
It's the tenderloin.
Actually, the tenderloin on this bird is found on the breast, and it's here. I'll pull this off just so you can see it. This.
That's a big tenderloin, Chef.
This is the tenderloin. Okay, so that's the tenderloin.
You can pound that out and make turkey scallopini.
Yeah. You can grind this up and add spices and a little bit of egg whites to it and some heavy cream, and you make a mousseline and stuff your bird with it and roast it off. There's a lot of things you can do with it.
I saw a thing on TV yesterday. They did duck confit. I mean, but with turkey. Nice. They roasted the turkey in turkey breast in duck fat for 3 hours.
I love duck fat.
I know how much you love duck fat. I
really do love duck fat. Okay, so what you're left with then is you're left with this carcass, okay? I would cut off the excess skin. If you end up with any kind of inner, like kidney fat, like the crumbly white fat in there, you take that and slice it nice and thin. You can gently, so you get a nice fat line here on the breast meat underneath the skin. But here and here, there's not a lot of fat. So if you gently come in underneath here and separate the skin without pulling it off the breast meat, you can tuck that fat up in there. And also, season the tar out of it. You know, don't go too heavy on pepper because poultry picks up too much pepper, you know. So you just have to be light with that. But the turkey that we made today, we rubbed it down with rosemary, granulated garlic, salt, pepper, a little bit of lemon juice, some olive oil, and it turned out really nicely, so I think you'll enjoy that. So then what you do with all your carcasses and so forth, in order to make demi-glace, is you have to make ground stock. Now this takes time. Good food takes time. And you know, it's holidays, you're thankful, you love the people that you're with, hopefully. So you're going to put the love into the food, so it takes time, right? Usually I do this a day in advance or 2 days in advance. So I'll roast these bones in the oven, turn them until they're nice and caramelized and gorgeous. And some of that fat's going to render off. And then what I do is I take mirepoix, which is onions, carrots, and celery, 50% onions, 25 carrot, 25 celery. And I take the bones out, put it into a pot, cover with cold water, bring to a boil, and simmer. Meanwhile, and the fat that rendered off the turkey, I roast that mirepoix, roast those vegetables until those are nice and caramelized, right? And then I deglaze with a little bit of wine, because booze makes everything better, and add all that to my stock that's cooking. You can add a little tomato paste if you want to. We'll make it a brown stock. If you don't, you know, roasting the bones also, creating that color makes it a brown stock. What it does is it caramelizes the protein and develops flavor and color, okay? So then once you make your brown stock, then you make an espagnole. And the espagnole is basically the same process if you've already got the bones roasted, right? You've got this wonderful, rich, beautiful stock. You take more mirepoix in butter, roast those till you get good caramelization on it, Drop in some flour, because that's going to be your thickening agent. And you carefully over low heat allow that to caramelize. And that's going to take some time, okay? Don't be impatient. This is going to be a lovely sauce when you're done with it. It'll be worth the time and effort. Then, once that's done, you add your brown stock to that and you simmer it until it has reduced down, okay? You can add wine to it if you want to. And it's actually a very simple sauce. It just takes a little bit of time to make, but it's definitely worth it.
You have a spoon I can taste it with?
Thank you. Okay, questions? Yes?
Tell me what the mirepoix was again.
Mirepoix is carrot, celery, and onion. It's 50% carrots, 50% onion. So you do like, for this bird, I do 2 onions, 1 carrot, and 2 stalks of celery. Okay? I'd probably use 1.5 gallons of water and just allow it to simmer slowly. And as you simmer, you'll see that this kind of scum starts to come up. Skim that off. That's impurities and blood and that sort of thing. That gets it out of there. And so then what you end up with is a very beautiful, wonderful, rich sauce. It doesn't have any kind of greasy mouthfeel or anything like that. Okay? Do it! All right. So then what I would do is I'd start my legs first. And then when my legs probably hit about, I'd say, when they're about 60 degrees, maybe 70 internal temperature, I go ahead and drop my turkey breast in, okay? And really pull your legs, temp them out right next to the bone, pull them at 185 degrees. They'll be perfectly done, nice and moist and gorgeous. And then your turkey breast, pull it at 165, okay? Or 160 degrees. If you cook it past 165, the protein's completely coagulated. All you're doing is evaporating water out of it, okay? You're losing moisture. And basting your bird, only baste with fat. Don't baste with water, because water will draw more water out of it and it'll evaporate and it'll make your bird dry, okay? It's a trick, all right?
So
okay.
one more time, please. You start the legs first, and then at 60 degrees.
About 60 degrees.
Put the breast in,
put your
and the
whole thing.
temperatures for each again.
185 for legs. So dark meat 185, and breast meat 160 degrees. Pull it, and allow it to rest for a few minutes, okay, before you cut it up. Because as you rest, it's had all that heat forcing, on the outside. If you allow it to rest, then the moisture and everything redistributes itself throughout the cells. If you cut it up right away, you're going to lose all that moisture too. It's just going to pour out of it, okay? So let it hang out for a few minutes before you decide to cut it up, all right? And then cut it up and put it on a platter with some herbs, and people think that they've gone to a great restaurant. Especially when you serve it with your sauce. They're like, oh, I love your gravy. And you'll say, that is not gravy. That took me 2 days to make. It is sauce. And then they'll try it, and they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. That is sauce. Okay. So what we're going to do while Chef continues to work and talk to you a little bit, we're going to go ahead and plate up some samples of stuffing. And as you're going along, the stuffing we made, we just used leftover bread. So the heels of your bread, you don't like them, your kids don't like them. If you go to a restaurant, you got some rolls to take home, put them in the freezer, right? And then take them out, cut them up. And I toss mine with butter, granulated garlic, a little salt and pepper, maybe some herbs if I want to. And then toast them off. Chef doesn't like his toasted. He likes his to dry out at room temperature. Your breadcrumbs for your stuffing?
Yes, thank you.
And then I roasted shallots and garlic and fennel.
I like a stuffing that has a little bite to it, a little
crunch to it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to make sauce, you can use your stock from your turkey and put that into your stuffing. Okay? So you can do a million things with it. You can put fruit into it, anything you want. I put veal stock and a bunch of other things. So you can eat it and like it or not like it. Just don't tell me that part. And we'll get you sampled out. Okay? Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. You
Go
said
ahead.
you make your sauce a couple days ahead of time. So do you just leave the turkey in the refrigerator for a couple days before you cook it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Always thaw under refrigeration.
What temperature were you cooking the turkey?
I had convection at school, so I did 325 low fan. And but at home, if you did it at 325, you'd probably be done. And I would temp it out in 45 minutes, and then see where you were, and then check it about every half hour after that. Okay, it really shouldn't, depending on how thick the bird is really going to determine how long it's going to take. But really shouldn't take more than 2 hours. Broken down off the bone.
How about if you were doing
doing a chicken, how long about do you think a chicken cut up that same way would take you to?
Maybe 15, 20 minutes, not very long. And then I would cook at a higher temperature,
Like
like 375.
Okay, thank
Just
you.
pop it in.
And the mirepoix, do you like it in small?
Yeah, for this you do want to do a smaller or medium dice, that way you get greater surface area and it's going to take less time to cook. And then you're going to let your stock simmer for probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, as it reduces down a little bit. So you want to make sure that it hangs out that long, you know.
Okay, I'm going to continue on here. I'm going to, as you can see, our sponge cakes have come out now, and they're sticking to the paper. This is what they do. They do stick to the paper, but as they cool a little bit, then we basically just flip the paper over and just start peeling the paper back, or you can come back and pull them up with your fingers like this here. They just peel right off, like that. And we'll have plenty of these to taste, too, if you want to taste a sponge cake. But what I'm going to do here first is one of the in the filling itself, it doesn't. I don't think in the recipes that you have it says to whip the cream. But I've been finding that if we whip the cream, it makes a lighter mousse. So I'm whipping the cream right now, and the amount of cream that I have here is 16 ounces, or you can buy a little carton at the grocery store, 16 ounce a pint of cream, and that's the best way. I can say if you buy a big carton at Costco or Sam's Club or something, then it's 2 cups of heavy cream. It's 16 ounces. And I only want to lightly whip this. I don't want to over whip it. So right now it's already starting to foam up. And I'm going to shut it off because I'm the type of pastry chef that I like to partially mix my cream, and then I'll come back with a hand whip and finish whipping it. So I have more control over how thick it gets. So I'm going to pull this off here now because this looks like this. It's still really nice and soft. And so what I'll do here is I will throw this in there, and I'll get whipped cream all over the cabinets there. And I'm just going to take this and just whip this like this by hand. It's okay. See, I'm so fast that the whip gets away from me. This way I have it like this now, so I'm up to where I want to be with that. And I better wipe my coat off here before I make a mess on the floor. Oh, it's too late. Too late. Okay, now we're good. Well, did I get it all? It's cream, that's right, it's all good. Okay, I'm going to take, first of all, I'm going to take the cream cheese, and I have my cream cheese, 8 ounces of cream cheese, or 1 cup of cream cheese. I'm reading the recipe here as I go also. I created this recipe a while back. Some people really like this mixture, and some people think, so-so. But it's not as sweet as pumpkin pie. And but it's nice and creamy and silk. One of the things, main components of tiramisu is mascarpone cheese. Mascarpone cheese is like cream cheese, but it's a lot richer. Fat content is it's 5% less fat than butter. So it's pretty rich. So I'm putting this, and it's expensive too. Yeah. I buy mine through one of my purveyors through Linford, Alaska. Sagaya's also has it, but I buy it in a 5-pound tub. And but if you didn't want to go with all mascarpone, you could break it down and do maybe 8 ounces of mascarpone and maybe a pound of cream cheese. It'll make a firmer a mousse on it. So what I've done is I added the brown sugar, and brown sugar. The brown sugar I have at school it has a few lumps in it, so I pushed it through a sieve to get it nice and smooth because I don't want to have any little chunks of brown sugar here. And I'm going to raise this up, put this on 2nd speed here. We'll start mixing this on 2nd speed. And once I get this all mixed, then I'm going to add all the other ingredients, which is the pumpkin and my spices and my whipped cream. So I'm going to get I'll get this cream cheese and the mascarpone and the brown sugar blended first. Then I'll add the pumpkin and the spices, and I'll blend that in. Then I'll fold in the whipped cream. That's all there is to it. Very simple. You can make this while everybody's watching you. Just like me. Okay, so 20 ounces of pumpkin is approximately, I'm going to say 2 cups. There we go. I'm just throwing everything on the floor today. Oh, look and see. Like I said, I took the leftover batter and made little cake rounds, so you could build up a little cake if you wanted to. Then I take this. Look at this, how nice that came out. Nice and beautiful. I could throw it like a frisbee. See how nice that comes out? It's beautiful. It's just like peeling it off the paper. Okay. I'm going to go up just a little bit for a few moments up on high speed. Okay. Now I'm going to add the pumpkin to it. Sure. Make it easy here. The pumpkin goes in. The spices go in. I have all my spices all pooled together here. And I'm using powdered vanilla here because I didn't want to put any liquid vanilla in here. So I just have it, but liquid normally works good. I'm going to put this on first speed. That would have been a disaster. If I left it on high speed, the spices would have gone everywhere. So I try not to let that happen. Okay, now I'm going to go up on a little bit faster speed. I want to blend this in, just get it blended enough to where it's well mixed, and then I'm going to add the whipped cream to it. And then we're going to build the cake. Oh, look, they're serving up turkey and stuffing.
So I cooked this turkey yesterday, so this isn't, if it's a little dry, it's not how your turkey's going to turn out. Just getting the feel for it, okay?
Hey, let's do a couple more door prizes here. So we need somebody to draw a name over there. We got a lot of prizes to give out here too. Oh, they're doing that, so yeah, she's gonna go ahead and this one here, I'm gonna give you an option to have either a box of chocolates or a gift certificate. Ooh, so you get your choice on this one here. And we'll do a couple of these here now. Where's she going with those? You're walking away. No, you can draw it. Just pull one out of there. Look, there's somebody there. They'll draw it for you. Just set it on the stove, because then we can say it's hot stuff.
You're gonna have to pick another one. That one's mine.
Oh.
Alright, how about Jimmy King? Hey, here.
Yay!
There we go. Chef, you know when does the restaurant open in January? Third week?
That's a great question.
Third or fourth week of January?
It's going to start the 4th week in January on a Wednesday. I recommend you come the next week.
Yes.
Just saying, from experience.
Yeah, but you have some good students in there too.
That's true, we do have some.
Yeah.
Never mind, I take it back.
Yeah. You know, with your leadership, Chef, you know, you're amazing. She is an amazing chef. I mean, she could be on TV.
Yeah. She's in the movies today.
Okay, so I'm folding in my whipped cream here now. And as you can see, it's lightening up a little bit here. Yeah, we wanted to serve the turkey and stuffing before we start serving chocolate, so it's kind of like, you know. And then we have the mascarpone. We have the tiramisu for you to taste too. So.
Why don't you go ahead and pull out another?
Yeah, do a couple of them there. I'm needing another bag too.
You have to do
Carolyn Smith?
preliminary.
Would you like a gift certificate or chocolates?
Monday through Thursday, and advanced is.
I'll have a gift certificate. Okay.
Let's see. It's over.
I had lunch there yesterday. Okay, well, this is delicious. This is a Charles cake. Charles cake.
Wait a minute. Do you have reservations?
Gift certificate. Oh, yeah. Okay, the next one is chocolate.
Yeah, go ahead and draw another one. We got a lot of prizes here, so.
Pick them up.
Okay.
Margaret Nelson?
Yay!
I'll take it. I'm giving out chocolates at this point. We're going to save the gift certificate for later.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you can give her the last certificate if she wants.
This could be like the finale.
Oh, that's the finale. Okay.
One more?
Yeah.
There you go.
Just a thumbs up, Chef.
Yeah.
Just a thumbs up.
That's Chef Naomi's there.
Chef down there, this gets a double thumbs up.
So you see the difference between sauce and gravy? Yes. I mean, really, it does take a little bit more time to make, but man alive, it's worth it. I think I do. And then so as you go along too, as you cut up vegetables and stuff at your house, keep a bag or container of vegetable scrap in your refrigerator. I always want to say cooler. And no peppers, no like strong cabbages or anything like that, but onions, carrots, celery, herbs, except for tarragon and cilantro. And then when you get a bunch of it, simmer it for like 45 minutes, and then just freeze it in quart-sized bags. And that's stock as well. So you use that to cook rice with, or make soups with, and things like that. So anything, if you get a Costco turkey or chicken, or cards or something like that, save the carcass and simmer it, and you'll have stock. And you can make sauce all day long.
So I put a layer of ladyfingers in the bottom along with some cake. I just took all the scraps because it's all going to be in the middle anyway. And then I took this mixture. This is a mixture of simple syrup, which is equal sugar and water, with and this has a little Bailey's Irish cream in it and a little Frangelico, but it's not much. It's just a little bit, just for flavor. And I squirt that on top of the sponge cake, and then I take my mousse, and I'm going to just pipe some mousse in here like this. So it's like that. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my little spatula here and I'm going to smooth it out so it's nice and smooth. I still have a few lumps of cream cheese I see in there, but that's okay. It's all going to be delicious. So it looks like this now. And what do I want to do now? Put another layer of cake in there like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and use these. I'm going to put these cakes in here like this. A few ladyfingers. I think we could put one more layer of ladyfingers in here too. Okay, so I put this layer in, and I squirt it with some more dessert syrup. Put some more. My bag ran out, so I guess I'm gonna have to go this way. Darn.
Would you describe that dessert syrup again?
It's equal parts sugar and water. So simple syrup is equal sugar and water brought to a boil, and then we allow it to cool, and then you add whatever kind of flavoring you want to it at that point. You could add lemon to it to make a non-alcoholic. You could add Frangelico, which is hazelnut liqueur, or amaretto, which is almond liqueur. Grand Marnier, which is cognac orange. So there's lots of possibility. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on. And there's people that if you don't want any alcohol in it all, just put simple syrup, maybe with a little squeeze of lemon juice or something like that would be fine.
Regular tiramisu, it's espresso.
Espresso with regular tiramisu, yes. So I got this here, and so I'm going to go ahead and do one more layer of ladyfingers in here. Now I could use this big one here to go in the middle, but I think I'm going to put ladyfingers on here. So I just go ahead and put these back in here. I'm just going to line up that way I use up all these scraps here.
Syrup is the simple syrup.
Mine.
So should we hand out some chocolate now? We have some samples of. We have a couple of different little.
They're still going.
Oh, never mind. They're good. Okay.
Still doing turkey.
But let me tell you what these samples of chocolate are we have here. We have one of our. Since we're not here during the holiday season, I would say during Christmas and Thanksgiving, we decided to put out some I would say chocolate bark, which is peppermint bark, and it's dark chocolate, imported dark chocolate, and white chocolate with peppermint candy just sprinkled over the top of it. Very popular with certain. I'm going to say with certain retail kitchen stores like Williams-Sonoma, they sell a lot of it, and different stores. But this is my own version of it. This is using European chocolate, the best there is, and it's delicious. Now, one of the other things we have in there is we call it a skipping stone, and a skipping stone is a molasses toffee. So, and they're kind of thick. They're crunchy. You're gonna bite down. It's like I would say like a Heath bar, but it's made with molasses, and then we dipped them in dark chocolate. So they're really good too. So when we get around to those, tasting those.
Are ladyfingers and madeleines the same thing?
No, totally different product. Ladyfingers or madeleines are actually made in a madeleine pan also, but the dough is a lot heavier. It's not as light and airy. It's a little cakier almost than and plus madeleines take a long time to make. It's a matter of making the batter up, letting it sit for a few hours, and then finishing it and everything. So madeleine should be, like I said, it should be a little cakey. Did I get that right? Because you probably make more madeleines than I have.
I actually have made
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, I've never really made I've had students make them, but I've never tried them. I've been to Paris though, and I've seen them in stores, but. Okay, I'm almost done here. Now, I have the cake itself done here, so now I need to finish it some other way. I need to, the best I can do is put some whipped cream on it, and I'm going to take some white chocolate and put some white chocolate over it, though. So. Did I trip you? Did you slip on my whipped cream on the floor? Okay. So I have the dessert here, and I have some white chocolate here. This is Belgian white chocolate from a company called Callebaut Chocolate. And I'm going to throw this. Get myself cleaned up here a little bit. And what I do is I have a biscuit cutter here, and I'm just going to use my biscuit cutter to drag it across the chocolate to make little shards, let's make it just little. So I'm just kind of going like this here, making shavings. That's right. I can go across the chocolate like this using this biscuit cutter.
Is there chocolate, really chocolate in white chocolate?
There is. This one is made with cocoa butter. So in this white chocolate, there's a lot of white chocolates. They take the cocoa butter and replace it with other tropical oils that are not as sensitive to heat. But this one is actually, as I'm holding it, it's melting in my hand. So it's made with, because cocoa butter melts at 92 degrees. So the longer you hold in your hand, the softer it's going to get like this.
And how do you store it? Do you have to refrigerate it?
No, do not want to refrigerate it because it'll form the wrong crystal structure in the refrigerator. So it's best to keep it wrapped up really tight and keep it away from anything that's too warm, and try to keep it away from things that are too cold also. So room temperature works really well as long as it's kept really well wrapped.
Speaking of storing it, I had a question regarding storing chocolates, already made chocolates like that you
Sure.
make here.
You're not going to eat them that fast?
Well, like say I wanted to give them as a Christmas gift or something,
Sure,
or a
sure,
gift, you know,
sure.
Homemade chocolates
Sure,
are probably
sure,
different
sure.
from the kind you buy. So,
Sure.
do you leave them on the counter? Or do you
I do.
freeze
I
them,
wouldn't freeze them. I would just keep them wrapped up and put them in a cool, dry place. Keep them stored away somewhere. Keep them away from the bugs.
And freezing doesn't help the chocolate.
No, freezing causes chocolate to bloom, and bloom is
Yeah, it's white.
start separating, get the cocoa butter separate. So this is, I've just put some white chocolate shavings on this like this, and because I have the acetate wrapped around this on the inside of this pan, I can literally just push it up like that, and I have my cake all ready to go.
Wow.
So. Yeah, I can put this in the refrigerator. It'll firm up a little bit more in the refrigerator. And if I can get it back down in here now. There we go. Yeah, see, I've got my plastic is there. There we go. I'm back down. Like this here. So it needs to refrigerate for about an hour to 2 hours. Get it firm up a little bit. That way, when you get ready to serve it, it's a little bit easier to move around and stuff. So.
Where do you get that acetate at?
Any good, I buy it from a company in New York. So. I buy it in a 500-foot roll, and this is I get two different sizes. This is the 3-inch, and I have a 2-inch also. That 500-foot rolls. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was thinking about 5 feet of it.
You know, but you can wrap aluminum foil around it too. That would probably work also. You know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a pan like this. Also, you can do it in any type of pan. Loaf pans would work even.
But that's
you know.
slick. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's cool.
slick.
It's really cool. Yeah, and like I said, and I would probably finish this by dusting a little cinnamon over the top of it also, just to help give it that little look to it. So. Yes.
I've never heard of dried vanilla. Where can you buy that around here?
Yeah, there's a few stores I believe that sell cake decorating. Normally, most of the time I use real vanilla. I mean, but I like what it has a vanilla bean paste. I don't know if you've ever seen vanilla bean paste. It comes in a little bottle like this, and 4 ounces is usually $12 to $15. And you use that, and it has all the little particles of the bean inside of it in a syrup, and it works really well, and especially if you're doing creme brulee or things like that. It's always fun. Okay. You got something else, Say?
Nope.
So would you slice that up, or would you
I would. Well, as a matter of fact, we're going to give you some here. I made a small pan of it yesterday at school, and so this is what we have left here. But we portioned out everybody to try some too. So we might. She's getting ready to serve that right now. So, and then if we have some to-go containers, we can give everybody something to take home too. And if you want to try ladyfingers, we can try ladyfingers too.
Chef, please.
I have another.
Yes.
Oh. Reynolds, I think, sells the bags.
Yeah.
I use those in the past. They seem to work pretty well. But
Yep.
what's your thought on that?
I think it's fine to cook the turkey in the bag. You just have to make sure that you get it up to the correct temperature. You know, I think that, and like if you look, the health department says don't ever cook it in a bag.
Really?
Yeah, they get freaked out. They're freaked out about a lot of things. But if you use good sense, I mean, there's no reason you can't cook it in the bag. It maintains a nice moist environment, you know. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure it's brought up to temperature, and then you can pull that bag off at the very end and kind of jam your heat up a little bit, so you kind of caramelize the outside of that bird. You should be in good shape. You know? Yeah.
Before I had my smoker barbecue, I've always done my turkeys in a bag, and they came out really moist and delicious. But ever since I got my smoker barbecue, my smoked turkey is it's the juiciest turkey I've ever had in my life. So smoke it for about 3 hours with apple chips, and then turn the heat up and roast it for about four more hours to cook it all the way.
Makes me hungry now.
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah.
This is very good.
Great, thank you.
Your dressing was excellent also, actually. Was it an accident that we didn't get the recipe for that?
Well, I just threw it together. Yeah.
I wonder if it was a super secret recipe.
That's fine. No. You know, the key in that one is just I put some truffle oil in there and season it well enough, and then I use brown stock, and then I roast. I really like roasted garlic and shallots and fennel in with dressing. You put nuts in there if you want to. Our director Tim Bilber, he puts golden raisins and some craisins in there. So it depends on what you want, but it was excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Chef Naomi,
Yep.
I've always heard about these turduckets, but it seems to me that by the time you get the inside meat hot enough, the outside meat is tough.
Yeah.
How do you cook a turducket?
I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be really challenging because, you know, you're right. You know, you've got such dense protein all together that, you know, by the time your internal temperature, and you've got that turkey on the outside, you know, and the turkey is pretty lean as far as that breast meat goes. You know, it makes sense if you like stuff the duck with the turkey, you know, but logistically it doesn't really work out. But you know, yeah, I don't know. My sister made one and she said it was horrible. She really didn't care for it. You didn't like it either, no?
Did I do one? Oh yeah.
How'd yours turn out?
I've never done it again. I did it once. I did it myself, and that was enough. You know.
Let's go ahead and drop some more.
Yeah. How many more do you have there? Like tons of them.
Yeah, I've got 12.
Okay, we got 12 more door prizes here. We got to start 13. We got to start drawing a lot here. Mix them up. Oh, careful there.
Yeah. There we go.
Dry towel here.
Thank you. I know. All right, this one is Rebecca Laser.
I have some paper towels here.
Yeah, let's keep trying.
You can keep eating it, that's the problem.
Cheryl. Okay, this one is Sandy Olive.
Yay! Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, thank you.
We've got 9 more boxes of truffles. Let's keep going. This is Archer.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm falling and I can't get
Peel.
up.
Go with big time.
Talk about the program?
Because a lot of people don't know about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
About the restaurant, their menu.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please. Order, please. So someone had asked about if we made sure that we shared with you what we're actually doing or what meeting. Okay, we have a program.
Bloody Mary.
I need a Bloody Mary. We have the University of Alaska has a culinary arts program. It's hospitality, hotel, restaurant management, dietetics, and nutrition, which is a very long title. That's why no one knows my name. And so we have an associate's program, which is a 2-year degree for culinary arts. They learn the basic fundamentals of how to cook. They know how to do this, ideally, when they walk away. and this as well. We have a bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year program, and that's a management degree. And then the dietetics and nutrition is a master's, right? Are they moving? Yes. A master's program. So really the university has come a long way. So Chef and I teach the skill development and the advanced classes in a la carte and restaurant and the rest of it. We don't teach any management courses. We teach them how to manage themselves, basically. But it's a great program. If you have the opportunity to come over for lunch, please do support us. It's all student-driven. Your servers are students. Your people who are creating your food are students. And
Students
ideally,
write the menus too.
yeah,
Pretty much.
and ideally what we're trying to do is build a really good food culture coming out of there. Here in Alaska, I think we all can agree that we could definitely use some better food. So trying to teach them some good fundamentals. And so thank you for coming today, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. Famous chef besides yourself?
What's that?
Graduate. Most famous graduate.
Our most famous graduate is Kathy Davis, right
Yes.
there. She owns Wheel Good Food, and so you see those little yellow trucks, those huge yellow trucks running around. Who else is a graduate from our program? Patrick? No, Patrick Hoogerhead?
No.
Kelly Puff?
Yes.
Kelly Puff over at King Career Center. Yeah.
Yes.
And she's actually finishing her bachelor's right now.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, Tim Patterson here a couple
Yeah.
months
Yes.
ago.
Yeah,
Yes,
Tim Patterson's
yes.
a graduate. Yep, he's wonderful. He's wonderful.
Yes.
There's a lot of students out in the industry right now.
Is it Rob Canina?
I don't think so.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know if he did or not. So I'm very famous. Me, I'm a graduate.
Yeah, Chef Naomi graduated from the program how many years ago?
13 last year. Last year.
Judith Mack?
Hey!
Yeah.
Sharon?
Ooh, hey, I was feeling bad. Oh, wow.
Jeffrey Perry. Okay, the last gift certificate, it goes to me.
Anna Davis.
All right.
All right, well, I'm going to jump in here for a second. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today. We have another one of these coming up on the 7th. We'll have Ling and Louise showcasing. After that, we do not have another one until January. So we're going to be off for Christmas. January 4th will be the return. So please keep your eye out for those newsletters. And just, if you want to, you can feel free to call us. We don't mind answering that question. So,
Here, January 4th.
Yes.
January 4th,
Yeah.
Linda Bullerston from Terabella.
Oh, Terabella. Hey, I grew up in Terabella.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, lots of samples take right there.
Yes. My husband gets the dessert since I'm gluten free.
Oh, help yourself there. That's why you got the bowls. Got lots of dig into it.
I tried to make a focaccia the other day. It was gummy.
We have some plastic wrap down here on the end that we can cover them with.
Well, I did the pre-made stuff, so I'm gonna try to do the xanthan. She's tried the xanthan, and she said it seems to work better.
Has an awesome free flour namaste.
Yes, except you still have to use the xanthan.
I haven't been using it. It has an already mixed. I have one out on the market.
And we've taken pasta at Costco that has the
You have a little plastic wrap.
amaranth flour and celery like you cook it right away. It's a penny process and it's
like a picture with you.
yes.
Take a picture. Oh, yeah.
Because I wasn't going to make it delicious. If you had a plastic where you could just go and take one thing and like it'd be a social thing.
I did. That's going to have
Yeah, I teach a bread class
but it's
once
so
a
much
year
better to give than
on Saturday, and it's already I've already maxed out.
Daddy, it's a UAA.
Yes, she did. Yes. Oh, excellent.
Sorry, thank you.
Paul for you. And this is the Zoom right there.
Okay.
Paul? Yeah, come on. We're here. I've taken a few classes. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're getting a picture. Come on. Okay, you want to come down? I'll come down. White in the middle. Pretend we're family.